I'll introduce that, and Mr. Kervin will answer some questions for the board. You asked us to come back with some options for you, so the way we took that is that we would review what the policies and procedures and potential options to identify and retain an interim county administrator would be, so that the board could determine in which manner it wished to act. Mr. Kervin and I reviewed the county's personnel policies, procedures. The board has never adopted a line of succession amongst the county's org chart as part of its continuity of government plan, so there is not an automatic fill of this position. Personnel policies are silent as to the filling of these positions on an interim basis, so the board has the utmost flexibility based on your adopted policies with none constraining your action today. Mr. Kervin and I did discuss reaching out to the Florida Association of Counties as well as the Florida Association of City and County Managers to determine are they able to offer interim assistance, which at various times in their past they have done so. Mr. Kervin spoke with them, and I believe they advised Mr. Kervin that they were not in a position to offer those at this time. Is that correct?
That is correct, not at this time.
Excuse me, may I? Mr. Kervin, would you please explain the process to us?
Extremely loud. So the board asked to bring back some options. So we looked at our policy to see if we had a clear succession plan, in which we don't. The board's never adopted one. So I reached out to Florida Association of County Managers to see what services they offered, to see if they did anything as far as recruiting an interim county administrator, or county manager, and they do not. They only work with doing a full-time recruiting process. So at this point, we don't really have any policy or any guidelines on what steps we would take as far as hiring an interim county manager or county administrator. So it would be up to the board's wishes on how we move forward.
So are you saying that we're going to move forward with hiring one today, and then we're going to come up with a plan on how we hire someone for the future?
If that's the board's wishes.
And no, ma'am, I guess I'd more specifically answer the question to say we're not telling the board you have to hire one today. We're telling you we reviewed what your options are, and the board's options are aplenty. You may choose what you wish to do. If the board wishes to hire someone today, that is well within this board's prerogative and purview as we have reviewed the policies and determined, but that is not something you're required to do. We understood the direction at the board meeting was for Mr. Kervin and I to determine what options the board had on an interim basis. That's what we provided you.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chair, go ahead.
I think it's pretty clear we need an interim. And we just happen to have someone in the county who has run one of our cities in the county, who is a former elected official in the county, and who has a wealth of experience in both private and government organizational work. And I would be remiss if we didn't take advantage of that. So with that in mind, I would make a motion that we instruct Mr. Kervin, Mr. Adkisson to negotiate a contract with Mr. Charlie Simmons to be our interim county administrator.
Mr. Chairman, in the past, the way we've handled these kind of hires, and granted the last couple we haven't, we've done it with a rating system. And we have, as far as I'm concerned, we have 2 candidates, and I would suggest we do it that way, and then it will save a lot of time. Whoever the county chooses is fine. We've got 2 good candidates from what I understand, and I think we need to just cut to the chase and vote on one or the other.
Okay.
I didn't know who the 2 candidates were. And obviously, I'm District 4, so I'm pretty much kept in the dark a lot. So, Mr. Anderson, would you mind telling me who the other candidate is?
Let me, hang on this. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. We're going to call a brief recess. I don't know who all the candidates are, so I'd like to know who they are also.
I would like to know as well.
Don't know. We don't have candidates. The only candidates
Or the 2 names that are.
I have one name, Charlie Simmons.
and we have a motion on the floor.
And we do have a motion. So
We don't have a second yet, though.
we do not
Correct.
have a
That's what he's
second.
got to call for.
I put in Stan Sunday yesterday, Nathan, and I called you and told you that. And I'm surprised he's not on the list.
We did not make a list.
Huh?
We did not make a list. It was for you guys to tell us a list at this meeting.
Well, you knew Charlie Simmons was on it though. So I just suggest that we vote, just put out ballots and vote yay or nay and go from there, and let's get it over with quick, because we have two candidates, unless there's somebody but another board member wants to put on that list, and we need to go from there. And whoever wins, I think we got two good candidates, so I'm happy with whoever wins. But we have got to get this done. We can sit here for 5 hours, or we can sit here for 5 minutes. This is a personnel issue. It should be decided by this board, not the public. So let's just get cut. If anybody has another candidate, put it on the list and let's vote on the three of them and get it done with. These 5 hour meetings for something that should take 5 minutes is not gonna work. We've done this in the past. It's worked well. So pass out the ballots if you've got them and go from there. And let's vote and let's go home and eat supper.
I agree.
All right, let me ask you this.
Well, I kind of like the idea as well. If there are people that are in the running, then let's establish who those people are, and then maybe do a roll call, and we can state who we're supporting, and then whoever has the most votes, then that person should be named the interim county administrator.
Agreed.
And I somewhat have to agree with that too. So what are the names? Any other submittals? We have 2 names. Is there a third from the? All right. So would we want to continue with the motion and see if it
You gotta get a
dies?
second on the motion. Right now, if there's no second on the motion, it dies for lack of a second, Mr. Chairman. Then you need another motion on how to proceed.
I concur it should be, since we do have 2 candidates, and I know who the candidates are, I do think it would be more prudent to let's back up a minute and give everybody a chance to evaluate the 2 candidates and then go from there with it. So if there's not a second at this time, then I guess that kills the first motion, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could I offer a motion to adopt Commissioner Anderson's proposal?
Well,
Second.
We got to deal with the first motion first.
Well,
So,
you-
Has it been
The
disposed
first one
of?
just extinguished based on lack of a second. The first motion's gone.
okay,
And I just seconded his motion.
repeat your motion.
To establish a process where it appears we have 2 named candidates, and that we will take a roll call vote, and each commissioner will state their candidate that they're going to support. Whoever has the most votes wins.
All right, and that, you second that?
Yes.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Nay.
Hey,
Motion passes 3-2. So at this time, do we want to just do a hand ballot?
He
You know,
called for, I believe the motion was for a roll call. So we'd start to your left or right, and each board member would name one of the 2 candidates.
Okay,
Me,
yeah,
I vote for Stan Sunday.
Dan Sunday.
Stan Sunday.
Charlie Simmons.
Charlie Simmons.
All
Based
right.
on the 3-2 in favor of Mr. Sunday, the next step would be the board would need to direct Mr. Kervin and myself to contact the tabbed interim county administrator potential applicant or potential awardee of the position, and to negotiate the terms of employment that would look like, and to bring that back before the board, and we will do so forthright. We'll try to reach out this afternoon, Mr. Kervin, if we can.
Chairman, after they have reached an agreement or not reached an agreement, we need to have another special meeting so we can get whoever it is hired and get going.
We would notify the chairman immediately upon those discussions, and that could be set at the chairman's discretion.
Sounds like a game plan.
We do need a motion directing us to do that, though.
So moved.
Second.
Have a first and second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay. Hearing no nays, that motion passes.
Mr. Chairman, what I would ask is, obviously, we can reach out and discuss, does the board wish to give us, as the second item is the search process, does the board wish to give us a specific time frame for which that interim contract would be entered into, whether it be fixed or open-ended? I do think if that is part of the discussion, we should at least discuss what the board's desire is today. And I would ask the board to at least listen to what Mr. Kervin has to say regarding potential search process options so that any timeframes can be coordinated together rather than in opposition.
In reference, and all that's in reference to the county administrator search, correct?
Well, this would be to the contract that we would be negotiating with your interim county administrator appointee. We just want to, Mr. Kervin, do you want to address the time frame that you addressed?
Yeah, so we looked at, the option that we had before, which we know took over a year. And during that process of that RFP, we only had that one responsive bidder. So we did reach out to the Florida Association of County Managers, and they assist with the recruiting process, which in their timeline, it's about a 12-week process. But
Okay.
the Human Resources Department handles the majority of it. They just assist with that process.
And that's in reference to trying to get a contract with the interim?
With a full,
No, with a
full-time-
full-time, that's a
Okay.
12-week hiring
Well,
process.
let's go back to item one. We cannot wait,
No,
we
I-
need somebody in that chair Monday morning.
Right.
So whatever expedite, I'm willing to call a recess and get Mr. Sunday on the phone and y'all go somewhere and sit down and hash something out. I don't care if you have to write it out on a paper napkin, get it while we're here, and let's get that part over with so somebody can sit in that chair Monday. And then we'll decide amongst all of us what process we want to go after that. So would it be prudent at this time to try to attempt, give a few minutes, see if they can say what they know?
Yeah,
With the contract, when we're building the contract, we have to abide by FRS rules. So we'll need to know whether or not it's going to be 6 months or less. So if we think that this process to hire a full-time one will be less than 6 months, then the contract would look a little bit different if we didn't know how long it was.
So is that board approval you need as far as?
these are the discussions we're looking for is broadly based on the fact you could have a 12-week search process. And the definitive issue that Mr. Kervin needs is to know 6 months or less.
Fair.
Do you want us to negotiate an open-ended contract, or do you want us to negotiate a contract not to exceed 6 months? That's the direction we need right now based on what we provided.
Chair,
Yes,
may
ma'am.
I would like to recommend that we go for a minimum of 1 year because we do not need to be bouncing around with that position. It's a very important position and we need some stability. So I would recommend at least 1 year with Mr. Sunday.
On an interim basis.
Or,
I'm sorry, Ms.
Go ahead.
Jones. I think what we need to do is have an open-ended contract that can be terminated by us or the county interim manager, and we can look at it if he's still interim manager in 1 year. It's to see if we still want to keep him. But my God, it took us 2 or 3 years to get the last county. So I don't want to come back less than, and we may find who we want the first time we go out there. But let's keep, if the board wishes for a year and then let's look at it again, but we might find somebody in 3 months. We might find somebody in 6 months. Or we might decide that we want one of these 2 candidates if they apply and go ahead and hire them. But correct me if I'm wrong, open end doesn't mean that it's forever.
No, that's correct. With regard to what Nathan needs to know, if you say open-ended, we will have to interpret that as exceeding 6 months. If you say open-ended, you would say a contract that is subject to automatic renewals but review at 6 months, that could make a difference under the FRS standard. But it is more of our concern of making sure we have a document that can be conformed to FRS standard.
Any further comment? Here's my 2 cents worth. I'm not going to vote for any contract that doesn't allow me to us to get out of it if we find somebody in a week or a year, whatever. So whatever contract we come up with, it's got to have a clause that should, like you said, if next week we all come to agreement, we found somebody. But I'm not going to sit here and just sign a straightforward 6 or 1 year contract, not my support. There's got to be an out clause on it because I got my hands shackled the last go round on this, and I refuse to have my hands shackled this time. And I think it's only fair that we put the county in a position that we're driving this time.
And I think, have a open-end contract that maybe we review in 6 months.
Well, that, you can just say an open-ended contract and the board can choose to review it whenever it sees fit.
I feel more
I'm comfortable with that language.
Yeah.
I don't want to wait 6 months. If we have
good
somebody we want, okay.
That ticks what we need off. Now, the only other question, I respect the position, and we certainly understand we need someone sitting in this chair much sooner than much later. With that being said, we're not sitting here in a position to say whether or not this person is wishing to come on as an actual county employee versus a 1099 contractor. If they are being hired as a county employee, we still have to follow standard onboarding process, correct, Mr. Kervin?
Correct.
So that could affect whether they can start Monday morning or not, but we will try to expedite that as best we can.
I said that just to stress.
What's the earliest
This
they
process.
could come on? If they agreed, if y'all agreed today, what's the earliest?
So based on our onboarding process, Monday morning
Okay.
is our
Perfect.
next one.
Thank
You could get drug tests and everything else completed.
That would be tight.
Do we do drug tests for everybody?
Anybody that's required to operate a county
Anyone who's in
vehicle.
a safety-sensitive position, we do.
Now, if we say this person's not gonna drive county vehicles, then that might be a different scenario. But these are the kind of things that we'll negotiate. I just wanna point out, we can have somebody for you very early next week. But if that person says, I want to be a county employee to get county insurance, FRS, and all the benefits that go with it, then the answer is they're gonna have to go through that onboarding. If they say, I don't care about that, give me a straight salary, negotiate the terms, I don't need any of these other benefits, there's no reason they go through all those processes. They're not an official county employee under that designation. I'm just looking at a clock that says 3:30 on a Friday afternoon, and you're asking us to negotiate and also get somebody
By Monday
to
morning.
fill all those issues. We won't drag it out, Mr. Chairman. You have our assurances, but I think I think it would be unfair on the applicant to say the board insisted you start Monday morning and they not be able to either.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He either wants a job or he doesn't.
How about if the
Here's
applicant
as far as scheduling this, yes, it's gonna take some amount of time. When I said Monday morning, that was just a stress. We ain't gonna take a year on this. I know it takes time. I'll trust y'all that y'all expedite this as much as you can. When you get to the point you have a contract, then I'll call a special meeting and we'll pick it up then. But I will emphasize, don't drag it out in 1 day longer than you have to. How
We'll
about
be
that?
on the phone as soon as you adjourn this meeting,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
And if we need to do a special orientation, we will have him
Okay.
that day.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So any further comments in reference to item 1? All right. I don't think there's a motion, any further motions that need to be
No,
made
sir.
on this. You have your instructions there.
Are you comfortable, Mr. Chairman, with Mr. Kervin moving forward with the recruitment process through the Florida County and City Manager Associations to start that process, or do you wish for us to simply advertise through our standard internal processes?
For item 1?
Or 2?
No, I'm fixing to open that up separate now. I want to make sure with item 1, we're all on the same page. All right, let's move to item 2.
No,
All right.
Chairman?
we wouldn't have to make a decision today, right? We could kind of let that sit.
Yeah.
And,
First the process?
right.
I can meet
In fact,
with
I think
each
it
of
would
you
be-
if you'd like, and
I think it would be wise to
Options.
let time evolve and make sure we get that process done correctly instead of trying to hash something together tonight.
But why can't we, while we're all here legally, to get figure out where everybody's at on a direction?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, we allow HR to start the process of hiring a full-time county manager. And that's all we need. That's all we need. Just give him the authority to do this. We can fine tune it if we go along, if we're not getting any applications that we think we need to be getting. But we can sit here and hash out, but what we have to do is make a motion, and I just did, and then Danny seconded for him to start the process starting Monday morning.
I will call that to a vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Don't you want some discussion first?
Yeah, thought you had discussed. Okay.
No, I hadn't. I just wanted to say, so do we mean that we're going to go ahead and give you the opportunity to come up with whatever way you, since you are the head of HR, would you see is the right way to process, whether it's to go into these other agencies or inside or both or all of the above? So is that kind of what you're understanding? Okay,
Yeah,
okay, I just want to be
I think
clear.
the Florida Association of County Managers would be a great start.
Okay,
Because they would help review applicants as, we would advertise on all the websites we typically do, plus some more government ones across the United States. But then help them utilize them, because.
But you will bring back to this board a list of options
Absolutely.
before we make any decision
But we will
on
go
how
ahead
to
and
move
post
forward.
it through our normal process.
And Mr. Kervin is not able to hire the county administrator at his level. Whatever he brings back will come for this board for approval.
I think Commissioner Anderson just kind of wants to kick off the legal process.
Yes.
to-
And I got no problem with that, but
And we can make changes, like item 2. I mean, that gives us a lot of broad discretion. We can make changes anytime we see fit. I mean, if one commissioner says, hey, while we're in this process, I know we've been going along for 2 months now, but maybe we should expand it to do this or do that. And you know, all five of us have an opportunity to say, or to provide some input on, you know, how we do that.
okay. I concur with that. And there's no harm in putting some fillers out early and then fine tuning the process later on this.
I'll get it posted and meet with everyone individually as we go through this process
All right.
on a regular basis.
All right, and just to make sure it's understood, we're not going to move forward with any process on your end till you bring a list of these processes, suggested processes back to us, correct?
Well, no, Mr. Anderson's motion would be for Mr. Kervin to start the process.
Start the process and
The
then
hiring would come back to you. We'd be bringing the hiring options
we
back
can
to you.
fine tune it
Well-
as we go along. The thing is, let's get started on,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah,
I have the floor right now.
No, I haven't recognized you. Okay, here's what we don't need to get into a box about. I may not like the process. I sure as heck didn't like the last process. I'm just saying, I get trying to move it forward, but I don't want to be locked into a process I may not agree with at some point in time. So,
And I'm not saying we're locked in the process, but he's got a list of places that he would normally go out to. He can start that Monday morning. It may be the next meeting before he gets approval to do it a different way. We can add things at the next meeting. Hey, how are you doing this? This can be an agenda item at the next meeting. And if you're not happy with the process, my motion was to go ahead and get the process started. And this is what I want to happen starting Monday morning.
And Mr. Chairman, let me make sure the board's clear. If Mr. Kervin starts advertising for these positions, if he chooses in his capacity as your HR director to use the free services provided through the Association of Counties or County and City Managers to engage additional recruitment, you're not locked into a contract like you were with GovHR. You're not bound to only interview their people. What he's saying and what we brought to you in terms of what they advised was a recruitment tool to provide the most possible return applications. How you choose to go about interviewing those, who you choose to interview, when, if, all of those issues, you're gonna have to decide at another meeting. But what Mr. Kervin's gonna be doing is what is within his express authority as the HR director. That's what the motion would grant him to do. You would not be boxed into any hiring process.
with that explanation, I understand where we're trying to go with it now. I just didn't want to be locked into that a group of other individuals outside of this board is going to make a short list, and we're stuck without our own input of who should be in the list.
Absolutely not, and I want to
Okay.
stress that the City and County Managers Association made clear to Mr. Kervin, and it's been my experience, this is how they do it for municipalities as well. They don't run the program. Our HR department runs the recruitment and the process. They facilitate and assist. They may give him advice, they may give him an opinion, but Mr. Kervin does not shortlist positions for this board. So they won't be doing it either.
So do we
We need a vote on that motion.
Have a motion.
Yeah, we have a
So we
motion,
need to vote on it.
not on personnel issues. This is a personnel issue. It's not open to public comment. This is about personnel decisions to be made by this board.
But it, nothing would prohibit us. I mean, we are in a public meeting.
Okay, Commissioner Drake, here's what I'll do. If you want to make a motion and get a second and pass it, suspending the rules, I will accept that motion and see, and we'll go to discussion.
Do we need to do that, Mr. Attorney?
Your adopted rule of procedure says, your adopted rules of procedure say speakers shall not discuss any of the following, and in that list on agenda items is personnel. So if the board does.
We can waive the rules, but not the law.
Well, it's a policy, so you can waive it
And that's
based
why I'm
on your
giving the
motion.
courtity, if you, I do believe.
It's not an
board member,
ordinance,
if you
but it
want
is a
to make-
policy, and the board can change policies with a motion and second and 3 votes.
I make a motion that we waive that policy
For today,
for today,
Yeah.
just for today, so that people will have an opportunity to speak.
second.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any further discussion from the board? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay.
Nay.
Hey,
Motion passes.
Whoa, whoa.
We-
Motion didn't pass.
Motion
Failed.
failed 3-2.
Oh, so it failed.
So
I
the
thought I
rule
heard
is
him
not,
say aye.
that fails.
so the rule is not waived, and now we are to vote on the prior motion without public comment, which is to direct Mr. Kervin to start the process.
And my apologies, I thought you said Jay. I didn't hear it right. All right, well, then the motion fails.
So now
there
we're
is
to
not a public
Commissioner
comment.
Glaville's motion.
And
My motion, Mr.
Your motion
Bible.
is second.
so all in favor of the motion that's on the table, say aye.
Aye.
All against say nay.
I don't even know what the motion's on the table.
Motion to direct Mr. Kervin to start the recruitment process.
Okay, yay.
Okay, here, any nays? Hearing no nays, the motion passed unanimously, and we are done.
Medical marijuana brain does work. Dan, my medical marijuana brain does work.
Yeah, we'll go to